So, paid the cost to be the boss. This is something I've been want to get to for a while. So, throughout my life, I've always been taught that, my house, my rules, whoever is the person in the position that they are providing for everybody else, that person is in a position of authority and power. So, a couple quick things just that I experienced or witnessed. So, when I was young, I don't remember what happened, but I just remember that my dad put my grandma out. So again, I don't remember the context or what happened. I just remember that happened, and that was a big deal when I was really young. But it was established again, even though that's his mom, it's his house and it's his rules. So if you are the person that's paying the cost to be the boss, that's what it really boiled down to. And then all throughout my life, it was always, as long as you're in my house, you're gonna follow my rules. The minute you didn't want to listen to whatever somebody said in their home, then you gotta go, or you were considered being disrespectful, regardless of who was right or wrong. The thing that was the determining factor was whose house was it. Whoever house it is, that's what go. Um, I lived with my older brother Devin for a period of time when I was in my early 20s, and I remember I would be so frustrated because it'd be little stuff like I'd be in the living room listening to music, and I'm listening. This was back when Confessions was out, so I'm listening to Usher, and then he come in the house and tell me, I'm sitting in the living room listening to music. I got to turn it off and I got to go in my room, but it's his house. I'm sitting in the chair. It's his chair. It's his house. I got to move. So over my life, it's been a lot of situations. Well, even if not a lot, I think it's just been consistently communicated to me that that's what determines who's in charge. I even remember one time, my brother, me, we were having I don't even know what we was talking about. We was arguing, or probably about who would win a fight. I remember that part. I don't know how it started though. But when I was young, I really always wanted to test myself against Devin. And I had a lot of animosity and resentment towards him because of some things that he did with Crystal. So, I felt like I was bullied my whole life, so on and so forth. So now we were young adult men, and I felt like you can't do that no more, which I still feel the same way. Like, at that point in time, I don't think it was nothing that Devin could have done with me. Uh, Now, with that being said, we having a little debate. I used to carry around an axe handle because I walk all the time, and there were several times where I was in situations where people dogs was loose, and I was in a situation where I could have got bit. Sometimes hit by a car. One time, a little dog jumped up and like bit I was wearing basketball shorts, so it didn't bite me, but it was a little tiny dog, and it jumped up and tried to bite me, but it just got my basketball shorts. So legit, this little dog is like hanging from the leg of my basketball shorts. So anyway, I bought an axe handle, and I started carrying an axe handle just so I felt safe. So we having this debate and about who will win a fight, and he just talking so tough, and he like he'd beat me, and I'm like, man, look, even if that was true, like, you wouldn't beat me with an axe handle. Now, that wasn't a threat. It was just like, I get sick of people just running their mouth. So in that situation, that's what it was to me. So anyway, he was talking about how he had put me out of his house, and I was like, now if you tell me to get out, I'll leave out of respect, but you couldn't like physically put me out. So he called the police on me. I left. I was homeless for a few days. Ended up getting an apartment with one of my coworkers, so on and so forth. So said all of that to say this: I've always been taught that whoever's house it is, that's the reality. They paid the cost to be the boss. Now, in my situation, I feel like, even though I believe that's true, I feel like it costs too much to worry about being a boss. So I feel like I paid too high a cost, right? Not money, not financially, but to I'm the boss here, but it's just me. Devin stand with me right now, but and when my younger kids are with me in the summer, but outside of that, it's just me because I pay for and provide whatever. And a lot of times I wouldn't think about the impact that my attitude, my tone, my demeanor, the way the things that I said, me being insensitive, all of these things, because it didn't matter. When I grew up, feelings didn't matter, and then especially being in the military, it didn't matter. It was just always who's in whatever position of authority. It is what it is, and after that, that's it. So I felt like because in part I felt that way, and it was some struggles. Uh, Being where I'm at now, it's like I give up being in charge or being the boss in a heartbeat to actually have what I really want, which is a family life, to have my wife, to have my kids, to come home to a home, right? Love, good food, good interaction, all of that. So, said all of that to say this. I felt like it's potential for it to be too high of a cost to be the boss if you just end up being a boss of nothing and nobody because I'm by myself. I don't want to be by myself. A lot of people say they single by choice. I'm not one of those people. I'm not single by choice. I don't want to be single. I can't wait till God bless me with the wife that I want, need, and deserve. I know my life will be so much better. I know I'll be so much better with that. But I'm not concerned about being a boss. I'm just concerned about being the best person that I can be. And it's a difference between a boss and a leader. So I don't care about being a boss anymore. I do want to be a leader. I do want to be a person who set the example that people willingly follow, people willingly listen to, people have a desire because they understand my desire to do what's in the best interest of everybody in the situation. So focus more on being a leader versus being a boss because sometimes being a boss comes at too high a cost and it costs me too much and I trade it in a heartbeat.